Imagine that one family you follow on Instagram or look at on Facebook every day, and you think, man, I wish I had that lifestyle. They have that dream car you want, or that really big home that you think, I could really use that. And you know, when that brand new iPhone comes out, they're going to be the first to have it. As great as all of this sounds, wait, you didn't know that they're thousands of dollars in debt? That's not what you're looking for? Well, Dave Ramsey, a very professional businessman, helps families and other people get out of debt. He wrote a book called The Total Money Makeover. This is him cutting up a credit card, and it's a great way to explain how people can get themselves out of debt. In this book, he explains 7 different pointers on how families can not only get out of debt, but actually stay out of debt and actually make something of themselves later on in life. You might be thinking, what makes this young girl okay to talk about finances or getting out of debt? Well, let me explain to you. When my husband and I first got married, we were super excited, but of course we knew we were going to be poor. We were young and we both were still in college, so we knew we were going to have to be pinching pennies quite a bit. In my mind, I at least thought, well, at least we're not in debt to anybody quite yet. Little did I know, when we got married, my husband actually had thousands of dollars of student loans out. This meant that starting marriage, we were already about $10,000 in debt. That made me really nervous as a newlywed. We already were struggling with paying rent, going to college, trying to make time for each other, and somehow we were having to pay off his interest that was still accruing on those debts as we were still in college. At some point, I hit a stone wall and I thought, I can't do this. I don't want to be in debt any longer. So someone told us that we should read this book by Dave Ramsey. And I decided, well, it can't hurt just to try, right? So I went ahead and read it, and I want to talk about and discuss these 7 pointers that he gives. Some may seem big, but when you start small, you're able to see how you can actually accomplish each of these 7 steps. The first step that Dave Ramsey gives is to save $1,000 fast. This may sound kind of difficult, especially for us as we were still in college, and I thought, there is no possible way. $1,000 really isn't that much money either. I thought, that's somewhat of an emergency, but really that only covers about a month, and that's for really cheap rent. But I did it anyway. I found ways that we could save on groceries or to get a cheaper health insurance. And every family is different. Not everyone can afford to change their health insurance, but you can probably save in other ways of your shopping sprees or how much you're paying for groceries each month. You're able to get that $1,000 a lot faster when you finally do hit that wall and you want to improve. In Dave Ramsey's book, he shares a lot of different experiences that families have. One of the families started with $375,000 worth of debt. That's a lot of debt for one family to have. This was overwhelming for all of them, and they decided they knew that they needed to change. So in a 6-month period, they found ways to crunch their money, and they were able to pay off $57,000 worth of debt and still give $7,000 to their church. That is truly remarkable. As NBC News says in an article that they wrote, they explained that most Americans die with debt. On average, an American dies with $62,000 worth of debt. And excluding their home loan, they still owe about $13,000. Who pays that? The people that are still here, your family. So that's really difficult, and that's why many families go ahead and start this process with someone like Dave Ramsey so that they can get through their debt so their family doesn't have to pay for it later. After you save that $1,000, the next step is to start the debt snowball effect. This is where you write down every single thing you owe on, whether that be a car loan, whether that be student loans, whatever it may be. You order it from smallest to largest in amounts. Then each month you pay the increments that you have to pay on each of them. And then the smallest one, you pay off as much as you possibly can until you've paid it completely off. Then you go to the next one, and then the next one, until you've paid off all of your debt except for your home loans. It sounds like a lot, and it can be depending on how much debt you really have. But being able to wipe that slate clean and know you don't owe as many people as you did is so amazing, and I know from my personal experience. The third step is to get a hold of a full emergency fund for 3 to 6 months for your family. For most families, they can live off of about $3,000 a month, which means they need to save about $10,000. As $10,000 does sound like quite a bit of money, for those that have gone through the debt snowball effect, they're able to see that you can pay that off a lot quicker than it sounds. For one family, they were really trying to get their $10,000, and it was difficult because it seemed like trials kept coming in the way of them finding that $10,000 with cars breaking down or medical bills. But they were able to still do it, and as they continued to still pay those other things off that came up, they were able to still get their $10,000 within 4 months, which is amazing to see. The fourth step is to start investing your money. Dave Ramsey gives the advice of investing 15% of your income. And that doesn't sound like that much, but it really can make a big difference. As Time magazine says, 1 in 3 Americans have saved $0 for their retirement. Do you want that to be you? I don't. That means we have to start now. If not, there is no possible way we will be set for retirement, and then we will probably be freaking out later down the road. Step 5 is preparing a college fund. Many people want to help their children. They want to prepare them and help them to not start off in debt either, which is why Dave Ramsey says to go ahead and start a college fund so that you feel better and your kids feel better as well. After that college fund is started, it's time to finally pay off that home mortgage. This is what amazes me. There are so many families that were able to pay off their home mortgage in such a short amount of time. Most home mortgages are either 15 or 30 years, and most families go longer than 30 years to pay them off. Through Dave Ramsey, he explains that as you have already paid off all of this other debt, you can now still pinch pennies and pay off that home mortgage so you do not owe anybody. One family had a $250,000 home, and they were able to pay off their home in 6 years. They made the goal of 10 years, and as they saw how close they were to their goal, they decided just to pay it off and pinch their pennies a little bit longer until they had the whole house paid off. How amazing would that feel to finally have your house to yourself and to not be paying anybody at that point? The last and final step is not just to build wealth, but to give generously. I think this is the most important step of Dave Ramsey's book. After you have been able to change your life, it's finally time to change other people's lives. As you're able to pay off your debts and make a better life for yourself, you can also make a better life for others as you're able to give to them as well. Getting out of debt is not easy, and it is a hard experience on people. But I know from my own personal experience and from the other experiences that I have read through his book that it is worth it, and it is so worth pulling that weight off of your shoulders. I want to end with a quote by Gordon B. Hinckley. Gordon B. Hinckley gave this quote in General Conference of October of 1998, which shows why getting out of debt is so important even still today. It reads, "I am suggesting that the time has come to get our houses in order. Self-reliance cannot obtain when there is serious debt hanging over a household. One has neither independence nor freedom from bondage when he is obligated to others. No one wants to be in debt to others. So now is the time to change it by using Dave Ramsey to get that far."